Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Minecraft Memories, the show that's a little bit about Minecraft and a little bit about memories. Between now and the last time I uploaded a video, I got another subscriber. Who is this mysterious subscriber, you ask? Well, that's actually a really good question. I guess I'm just trying to figure out the whole YouTube thing, and as a result, I haven't been able to figure out who the subscribers are. I click on the subscribers button, and it says that they're mystery subscribers. So, whoever you are, man, woman, or other of mystery, I salute you. You have impeccable taste. Last time I was talking a little bit about memories of sports and church and stuff, and I mentioned the most embarrassing incident that I can remember, and that was with the referee's bike that I accidentally stole. This is the way I wanted to go. I saw a pretty nice little cliffside to build into. The referee's bike incident actually came up when I was in middle school. I had to do a report on... We had to fill a shoebox with objects that represented us, and it was kind of like a precursor to what I'm doing here. You had to talk about, the most embarrassing moment, or your happiest moment, and you had to do several of these and stand in front of class and do it. Oh, hey, little buddy. Poor creeper, he never stood a chance. Doing that was a little bit weird, and actually every time I ever did a report in middle school, for some reason, my legs would always itch like crazy. I would stand up in front of class, and then my legs would just, especially around the ankles and below the knees, it would just be like a crazy incessant itch, and there was no way to stop it. I mean, I contemplated building a sock with a bunch of needles embedded in it, specifically so I could use it to give reports. But one of the incidents I talked about was the bike thing, and back in middle school, which was probably the worst time in my life, hands down, I thought, well, everyone's going to make fun of me, screw it. I might as well just go ahead and get this over with. But everyone seemed to kind of like that one. They laughed, and we had I think I sort of got a glimpse of the laughing at you / with you. I was not a fan of... Let's do something without books this time. But I was not a fan of middle school. If I had my way, I probably would go back and... I don't know. I might strongly suggest to the parents that maybe I should be homeschooled these 3 years. But one of the objects I chose in the box was this little wire... It was like a little wire model of a bike. Kind of speaking of academics, one of the things that I remembered between... Let's make this a purple area. Yeah. Purple and white. Purple and white. One of the things I remember between now and then was a... kind of a weird little academic quirk. And I must have been in 2nd grade when this happened. We had these little reading modules, and they were color-coded. So you started with the lowest coded color, which, I don't know, let's say it was red. Then you moved on to orange. Then you moved on to yellow, and each time the reading got a little bit harder, and the questions at the end of the book module got a little bit more difficult. In order to get to the next one, you had to pass the questions at the end. And I think you were allowed to get like 2 or 3 wrong. Well, the modules that we were given, they're pretty easy. The reading was pretty easy. Until I think it was an orange module I got stuck on. And the reason I got stuck on it is because it asked to rank these words in alphabetical order. And I know what you might be thinking. Alphabetical order is easy. A comes first, B, C, etc. Go down the line, and eventually you'll figure out which one comes next. That is easy, if you know what it is. I think everyone assumed that I already knew what alphabetical order was, and no one bothered to ask me. because once I got to that question, I just started guessing. I put the words in any order. I tried the ones that had the most letters in it. I tried the one that had the least letters in it. And every time, even though I got 100% on all of the other questions, those were the ones that kept me from advancing. Now, this is really peculiar for me since I was fairly advanced in these classes. I was in the higher level reading group, I was in the higher level math group, and so Mom got permission from the teacher. It was a little unorthodox, but the teachers knew me, knew her, and she said, "Can I take these home and we'll bring them back? I just want my son to learn and figure this out." "Oh yeah, go ahead, Mrs. Kyle's mom." So she grabbed them and we went home, and then she's like, "What, Kyle? Why aren't you getting this?" You know, she was a little upset. I was a little upset that I wasn't getting it either. Like, I don't know what it is. And then she realized the problem that no one had bothered to teach me. So she explained it to me, and I felt like a complete idiot. "Oh, is that all alphabetical order is?" "Yes, Kyle, that's all it is." "Oh, well, that's easy. Why would they even ask such a stupid question?" But I guess that's something that they felt inclined to ask. I go back, pass it the next day, and then smooth sailing. I didn't get to the very end of the modules. I remember the people in the class who got the furthest were a few girls. I think Lane H and Jessica Y. I'm not going to give their last names because, again, internet. I will say, both Lane H is, by the way, the one that I pinched in 3rd grade. And Jessica, this one dates back to kindergarten. We were doing counting. Who can count to 100 by tens? And no one volunteered, so I raised my hand. "Kyle, can you count to 100 by your tens?" "Yeah." 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Or no, tens, yeah. I guess I can't really do it. At least I forgot. No, so I would 10, 20, 30, 40, etc., all the way up to 100. "Very good, Kyle. You get to be president of the Hundreds Club." And then, they talk about fives. And so sometime later, "Who can count to 100 by their fives?" "Oh, me." I volunteered again. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, etc., all the way up to 100. "Very good, Kyle. You get to be president of the Fives Club." At this point, I was accruing power a little bit further and faster than I think the teacher felt comfortable. I think she saw the flames of domination in my eyes, and she was afraid I was going to become a power-hungry tyrant. In all fairness, I can understand that. It's something I would be worried about too, because the next time she asked, who knows how to count to 100 by their tens and their fives? So first one, then the other, and I volunteered. But because she was afraid of she was afraid there was a lack of checks and balances on the presidential power that I wielded, she allowed Jessica Y to count. And I was a little annoyed by that. My perfect empire, I saw it crumbling in front of me. But I guess all's well that ends well, because the Senate voted to give me unilateral power after that. That's not true. You don't actually have any power. It's a figurehead. It was a figurehead, but that's something I remember about her. In 2nd grade, no, first. It was first. Lane was becoming. This was kids were starting to figure out popular and non-popular, and 3 guesses which group I fit into. Although it's funny, no one ever considers themselves popular, even if everyone else does. So, but she was unquestionably popular. There were people that started the Lane Club, and it was so stupid. They had markers on the table, and if you were in the Lane Club, you got to enjoy these markers. If you weren't, you had to use the bad markers, the ones that kind of run dry, the ones with a little bit less impressive colors. Hey, can I join the Lane Club? I was okay with joining this cult if it meant that I could, use the benefits from the cult. Yeah, what is a cult but a social club that allows you to use markers? That's what I always say. I think she had to approve it. I think she did. I think she was like, whatever, even though I was like a weird kid. But I was definitely a low ranking cult member. I wasn't. I kind of like the symmetry of that. I wasn't one of her acolytes. I was kind of the. I was the guy that cleaned up after the All Glory to Lane service ended. Speaking of markers, this was a really weird quirk that I experienced in kindergarten. In kindergarten. We had the carpet. You know, the all the kids have the dumb little carpets, or preschool and kindergarten, and you sit on the carpet. But we also had little tables that we sat at, four to a table, and in the middle of the table there were crayons. Nothing special about them, just normal crayons. However, for some reason, and I can't remember who else was at the table, we divided ourselves up into this side of the table versus that side of the table, and as soon as class started, we would always argue about who got the colors. As soon as we got to class, we would quickly swipe all of the premium colors were the metallics. Gold was the highest, followed closely by silver, then copper. Then you got the really rich colors, the royal blues, the blood reds, and then, you know, we should put a bed up here. Maybe this could be like the healing center. Well, the teacher tried several times. You guys can share those, you know. We knew we weren't going to share. So what we did was we continued fighting until she moved us. And after we moved us, I felt peace enter my mind for the first time in many a long years. You know, I was weary from the war. I was a battle-hardened little kindergartner. Until she tried moving people to the seats that we had occupied. And then, interestingly enough, for whatever reason, the people who moved there did exactly what we did. Maybe it was something about that location that was cursed. I don't know. It was really bizarre, and it's something that I remember. Obviously, I remember it. I'm talking about it. If I didn't remember it, then I would just be making this up. But I'm not making this up. I don't know why that happened. If anyone has an explanation out there, feel free to inform me as to why. Because this doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical. Minecraft OCD, everybody. I think it's a well-documented phenomenon at this time. Good enough. We'll put a little garden back here. A happy little garden. Man, I used to really, really like, then hate, then like, then sort of ambivalent about getting in front of people in that order. Elementary school, I was okay with it. Even though I was going to say, I probably started getting bullied in elementary school. I think the first one, bully's name is Ben. I mentioned him in episode 1. I remember him being a bully in basketball. I was in basketball in 4th and 5th grade. Some of my fellow compatriots were there in 3rd grade, so they had a little bit leg up over me. And the fact that I cried all the time probably didn't make me too difficult a target to attack. That's fine. Well, it's not fine, but you know, it happened. But I remember he would be aggressive and push me down, and Mom said, "You know, Kyle, I know it's wrong, but you should push him down right back." And even though I probably could have easily, you know, I have the height and the mass over him, I never did because I was worried about getting in trouble. I was worried about hurting him, and then he did that to a lot of people, including my BFF, who actually wound up pushing him down back, and then he and my BFF seemed to be on good terms after that. And I realized, man, if only I could just push him down, but now I was too much of a wimp. That's okay, someone's got to fill that niche. I think that then after actually I think the first one was in preschool. Somebody that actually shares my name, Kyle. However, he wound up going to jail. Kyle, we'll call him Kyle B. His last name starts with a B. He was a little monster in elementary school, and going back and subbing, the teachers they kind of admitted, they said, yeah, we hate to say it, but you can tell which kids are probably going to wind up behind bars before age 20, which ones before age 30, etc. They said sometimes we're wrong, but a lot of times you can kind of tell. And this was one of them, apparently, based off of the things I read online when I looked up his arrest. There's around Kentucky, there's like a little popular greenhouse area that has it's like a huge greenhouse. People always buy their Halloween pumpkins and they donate food to the local schools, but they also have like a little restaurant there, and they'll sell plants to people. They've got a lot to offer. He worked at the restaurant, and then he got angry one day and just burnt it down, and so he's no longer allowed out in public. What is a box? Is it a... Oh. Maybe this is like a cursed box. I could see the people who created this little space considering this to be a cursed item. I remember being in preschool, climbing on the little, those little, not spheres. They're like a little geodesic dome made out of bars, and like him pushing me off of it. Oops, sorry, hit the microphone. There was a bigger version of that on the Big Kids Playground, and this was in 3rd grade, and my friend Eric H. and a few others were throwing rocks at girls because they were girls, and we weren't having any of that on our playground. And they got in trouble, but I didn't, because I kind of was a little bit more sly when I was throwing rocks at girls. I was a stealth bomber. They were the full-on atomic bomb. But they were all 3 of those girls were trapped in there, and there were 3 of us throwing rocks. So, I guess I've done my fair share of bullying, unfortunately. I hate to say it, but, it's what kids do, I guess. Trying to figure yourself out. We should probably put little red torches back there. What are those red torches? Yeah. Another one... Man, I guess Kyles are just known for being bad apples. This one, Kyle W., was a bully in 4th and 5th grade primarily. I don't know whatever happened to him. I guess I could look him up, maybe get back to you on the next episode, but he was pretty terrible to me in 5th grade, and I remember when we graduated, he was like in tears. I wasn't crying when I graduated, weirdly enough. I felt like I could cry, but I managed to maintain face. But he was, and I asked him what was wrong, and he's like, I haven't seen my mom in like 4 or 5 years, or so. It was so sad. And, as horrible as he was, I had the common decency not to go ahead and, haha, what a wimp. But, that's maybe a little bit of backstory behind the way he acted, and wherever he is now, I hope he's doing a little bit better. I hope he's kind of figured himself out. I hope he doesn't, I hope he's got a job, a family, and he's there for his kids, because for whatever reason, I didn't go into details. I didn't ask if it was a death or if it was just a got taken away by the state, or if she left, but I hope that he finds a wife and marries, and he's there for his kids so that they don't have to do the same. Let's put a little bit of let's put some tulips. I enjoy tulips. And then in 5th grade we had I remember we had a weird desk arrangement. It was like a circle in the room with the desks, and I sat between, I don't know who I sat between, but one of them was a really cool guy, Bradley W. He, and I was taught, this was about the time I was getting into old coins, and he brought me some, actually. He brought me a Mercury head dime, my very first, actually, and I think a Buffalo nickel, Or no, just the dime. And I said, why are you giving me this? This is awesome. He's like, because you're such a good, gosh dang friend. But he's, GD friend. In, when we were that young, we cussed like sailors because it was cool. And now that I'm older, I realize that's not too cool. Everyone can cuss, but what's even cooler is centering yourself and not cussing. Because if you cuss, you kind of degrade the meaning of the words. So if you're actually feeling in such a way that you need to cuss, let's put a little walkway, then it loses a little bit of meaning that it might have once had. But one of those days when in 5th grade, I don't know what it was. I think it was a way to raise money for the school. So some people brought in brownies, and some people brought in like baked goods and stuff. But they also had little stations where kids from younger classes could come around, pay like 50 cents, and get a tattoo on their face. And we were drawing on them. And that's cool. So we were drawing on these kids' faces, and I was actually a pretty good artist, but I had a really big Achilles heel, and that heel was I really wasn't into Pokemon back then, and in fact hated the idea. I was actually anti-Pokemon for the longest time. As strange as that sounds, like how can you hate Pokemon? It's so fun. Yeah, it is. But I just railed against it so hard. I saw my friends playing with the cards and everything, and I was like, guys, that's so stupid. You're so stupid. I'm above it all. And then I just kind of sulked off into a cloud of superiority. But these kids would like, hey, can you draw a Pikachu? I don't know what a Pikachu is, kid. Get out of here. I'm too busy being above it all. And it's funny because I railed against it so hard that when I actually finally discovered it I think I watched a few of the episodes on TV in middle school. It was like 6th grade. I actually really enjoyed it. I was like, wow, this is actually really cool. This is a neat little series they have here. I like the concept. I like being able to carry friends around with me in my pocket and force them to fight other people's friends for my amusement. But by that time, the damage had been done, so I was like, I couldn't admit to liking it. So I watched it in secret, and I drew pictures of it in secret, and I actually kept the pictures inside of a hidden folder. My favorite, like you have to ask, Scyther, of course. Scyther. Number 123, represent. God, can you imagine a cooler Pokemon? I can't. They're probably, bar none, the coolest. It's like, oh, here, let me give you a hand. Oh, sorry, I can't. I actually have razors for my fingers. That's cool. That's just cool. Alright, guys, I'm looking at the time. It's about 23 minutes here, and so we did a little bit of work. I kind of like what we've done. A little productive sort of area. I think maybe next time I might connect these two somehow. I don't know. We'll figure it out. As always, guys, thanks for watching.